My beloved child, do not move away from this message yet. Something about what happened when your person placed your photograph in front of a psychic changed the entire direction of the conversation, and the strangest part is that it was not what your person expected to hear. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and the final revelation will completely change what you think the words, "their love died," truly mean. Your person walked into that conversation believing they were going to receive confirmation about you. They believed they already understood their feelings. They believed they knew why your face remained in their thoughts, why memories of you returned during quiet moments, and why your name could still create an emotion they could not easily explain. But then your photograph was placed down. The psychic became unusually quiet. Your person noticed it immediately. There was no dramatic reaction, no instant answer, no simple prediction. There was only a long silence. And sometimes, silence can make a heart race faster than any sentence. Your person looked at the photograph and then back at the psychic. They had expected questions about your personality, your intentions, perhaps even the future of your connection. Instead, the psychic studied the photograph for several moments and asked something that caught your person completely unprepared. What exactly do you believe you feel for this person? Your person almost laughed because the answer seemed obvious. Love. Attraction. Longing. Confusion. Attachment. Whatever name they had privately given it, they thought they understood it. But the psychic did not accept the first answer. The psychic asked again, more carefully, "No. Forget what you have called it. Forget the story you have built around it. When you think about this person, what happens inside you?" That question changed the atmosphere. Don't skip now, because this was the first crack in something your person had believed for much longer than you realize. For a few seconds, your person could not answer. That disturbed them. They could talk about you easily when describing events. They could remember conversations. They could remember moments when you seemed distant, moments when you seemed close, moments when they wondered whether you cared, moments when they questioned whether they should reach out. But describing the actual feeling beneath all of that was suddenly difficult. The psychic turned your photograph slightly and said something unexpected. You have been trying to understand this person by looking at them through your fears. Your person went still. Those words landed somewhere deep. They had come looking for information about you, but the conversation had suddenly become about them. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because what happened next is where the meaning of the title begins to unfold. Your person had carried assumptions about you that you may never have known existed. Some were created by distance. Some came from misunderstandings. Some were formed because you did not react the way they expected. Some grew from conversations with other people. And some were simply created inside their own mind during moments when they were afraid of caring too much. They had looked at your silence and sometimes called it indifference. They had looked at your independence and sometimes interpreted it as emotional distance. They had looked at your strength and wondered whether there was room for them beside you. And every time they failed to understand you, another small story formed inside their mind. The psychic did not claim to know every secret about you. Instead, the psychic pointed toward the photograph and told your person that the biggest obstacle might not be something hidden in you at all. It might be the version of you they had constructed from fear, expectation, and uncertainty. That sentence was uncomfortable. Your person wanted an answer about you. They received a mirror instead. And then came the revelation. The psychic looked directly at your person and said, "The person in this photograph may not be who you have convinced yourself they are." Something inside your person dropped. Don't skip. Your person leaned forward. Their mind immediately searched for the worst explanation. Had they been deceived? Had you hidden something? Was there another person? Was everything they felt somehow meaningless? The human mind can create 100 frightening endings in a few seconds when uncertainty enters the room. Your person felt that rush of questions. But the psychic interrupted that spiral before it could grow. "No," the psychic said. "You are misunderstanding me." And that changed everything. The psychic explained that sometimes we become attached not only to a person, but also to a version of that person created inside our imagination. We decide how they should behave if they care. We decide how quickly they should respond. We decide what love should look like coming from them. We interpret their wounds without understanding where those wounds came from. We interpret their boundaries as rejection. We interpret their hesitation as lack of feeling. Then, slowly, we stop seeing the real person standing in front of us. We begin reacting to our own expectations. Your person looked down at your photograph again. For the first time during that conversation, they did not see your face in the same way. They remembered moments they had judged too quickly. A conversation where your words had seemed unusually careful. A time when you pulled back instead of explaining yourself. A moment when they expected you to chase them, but you remained quiet. Perhaps they had once thought your silence meant you did not care enough. But now another possibility entered their mind. Maybe you had been protecting something fragile inside yourself. Maybe you were trying not to force what could not be forced. Maybe your quietness was not emptiness. Maybe it was restraint. Something huge is waiting for you, so stay till the end. The psychic asked another question. What if this person never came into your life to perform love exactly the way you demanded? What if meeting them was supposed to show you the difference between possession and connection? Your person did not answer. The room felt different now. Because suddenly, the kind of love they had been carrying began to look different too. They remembered how many times fear had entered their feelings. Fear of losing you. Fear that someone else would understand you better. Fear that they would eventually discover you never cared as deeply as they did. Fear that too much time had passed. Fear that not enough had happened. Fear that they would make themselves vulnerable only to feel foolish afterward. They had called all of those feelings love because you were at the center of them. But the psychic asked them to separate love from fear. That was the moment something began to die. Not their care for you. Not their tenderness. Not the memory of you. Something else. The anxious version of love. The love that demanded proof every 5 minutes. The love that secretly wanted control because uncertainty felt unbearable. The love that imagined worst-case scenarios whenever you became quiet. The love that needed you to behave according to a script before it could feel safe. That love began collapsing in front of your photograph. And your person was not prepared for it. Don't skip, because the next part of that conversation became even more personal. The psychic asked your person to look at your photograph without thinking about what they wanted from you. No reunion. No message. No promise. No future scenario. No fantasy about what should happen next. Just you. Look at them, the psychic said, without asking them for anything. Your person tried. At first, it felt almost impossible. They realized how often thoughts about you had been connected to questions. Will they come closer? Do they miss me? Will they choose me? Are they thinking about me? Did I matter? Is this going somewhere? But now they were being asked to remove every question. Just look at you. Something strange happened. Their breathing softened. The photograph stopped feeling like evidence in a mystery they needed to solve. It became the image of a human being. A complicated human being. Someone with a history they could never fully know. Someone who had probably cried over things they never spoke about. Someone who had learned lessons before meeting them. Someone who had fears, hopes, contradictions, private battles, moments of confidence, and moments of uncertainty. And your person realized something they had somehow forgotten. You were never a puzzle created for them to solve. You were a person. That realization hit harder than anything supernatural could have. The psychic noticed the change in their expression and quietly asked, "What do you see now?" Your person answered differently this time. They did not say soulmate. They did not say destiny. They did not say the person who hurt me. They did not say the person who should have chosen me. They did not say the person I cannot forget. They simply described something about you that had always touched them. Perhaps it was your eyes. Perhaps your smile. Perhaps the strange combination of strength and softness they had noticed in you. Perhaps it was the feeling that there was always more happening inside you than you allowed the world to see. And then the psychic said, "There. That is closer to the truth." Your person felt chills. Not because something frightening had been predicted, but because their own emotions were being exposed in a way they had never expected. Stay till the end. Because the psychic had still not completed the sentence that changed everything. Your person finally asked the question they had been avoiding. What is this person? The psychic looked at the photograph again. A pause. Then another pause. Your person waited. The silence became almost unbearable. What are they? Your person repeated. And the psychic said, "They are not your possession. They are not your punishment. They are not proof of your worth. And they are not responsible for healing every insecurity that existed before they arrived." Your person felt something break open inside them. Those words were not the dramatic prediction they had expected. They were more confronting than that. Because your person realized that part of their love for you had become mixed with their need to be chosen. Think about that. There is a difference between loving someone and needing their choice to confirm your value. Your person had blurred that difference. Every time you moved closer, they felt worthy. Every time you moved away, they questioned themselves. Every time you seemed interested, hope surged. Every time you seemed uncertain, their confidence fell. Without realizing it, they had handed you a responsibility you never asked to carry, the responsibility of making them feel enough. The psychic called attention to it. And suddenly your person could see it. That was why their old love had to die. Don't skip. Because something far stronger was beginning underneath it. The psychic said, if you truly care for this person, you must stop turning them into an answer to questions about yourself. Your person stared at your photograph. A memory came back. A moment between you that seemed ordinary when it happened. Perhaps you had said something simple. Maybe you told them that you needed time. Maybe you admitted you were confused. Maybe you asked them not to pressure you. Maybe you said nothing at all, but your expression carried a message they had ignored because they were too busy trying to interpret what the moment meant for them. Now they saw that memory differently. They wondered whether they had actually listened to you. Not listened for evidence. Not listened for reassurance. Actually listened. That question followed them deeper than anything else. Something huge is waiting for you. Your person had walked into that room hoping someone would reveal your hidden feelings. Instead, their own hidden motives were being revealed. And the more they understood, the quieter they became. The psychic continued, you have been asking whether this person is meant for you. Perhaps you should first ask whether the version of you that wants them knows how to love them without controlling the outcome. Your person swallowed hard. Because that question could not be answered quickly. It demanded honesty. They thought about the moments when jealousy had disguised itself as devotion. They thought about times when impatience had disguised itself as passion. They thought about the stories they created when they did not have enough information. They remembered mentally rehearsing conversations that never happened. They remembered imagining what you were doing, what you were thinking, whether you were missing them, whether another person had your attention. And suddenly they understood something uncomfortable. Some of what they called connection had actually been anxiety. The psychic was helping them separate the two. Their anxiety wanted certainty. Their genuine care wanted your well-being. Their anxiety wanted immediate answers. Their genuine care could respect time. Their anxiety wanted to know that nobody else could replace them. Their genuine care did not need to turn love into competition. Their anxiety wanted ownership. Their genuine care wanted truth. And as these differences became visible, the old emotional structure inside your person started falling apart. That is why, symbolically, their love died. But stay with me. Because what rose after that death was not emptiness. It was something your person had never experienced toward you before. Clarity. They looked at your photograph again and realized they could care about you without demanding that you complete them. They could miss you without turning missing you into suffering. They could hope for connection without forcing an outcome. They could remember you without rewriting every memory. They could acknowledge their feelings without pretending those feelings gave them ownership over your choices. And most importantly, they could finally see you as you are instead of seeing only what they hoped you would become. That was when the psychic said the sentence your person would continue thinking about long after leaving. Maybe this person is a mirror. Your person looked confused. The psychic explained that certain relationships reveal parts of ourselves that remain hidden in ordinary situations. Someone can awaken our tenderness, but also our insecurity. Someone can inspire courage, but also expose fear. Someone can make us feel deeply alive, while simultaneously showing us where we still seek validation. Your photograph had become that mirror for your person. They had come asking, who are they? The deeper question became, who am I when I love them? Don't skip now. Because that question changed the entire emotional direction. Your person remembered who they had been before meeting you. They remembered promises they had once made to themselves. They remembered the kind of relationship they believed they wanted. Something peaceful. Something honest. Something where two people could speak without playing games. Something where neither person needed to become smaller to keep the other comfortable. Something where affection did not feel like a constant test. Then they compared that vision to what fear had turned their feelings into. Waiting. Overthinking. Imagining. Assuming. Trying to decode every little sign. And they suddenly saw the contradiction. They wanted peaceful love while feeding anxious thoughts. They wanted honesty while sometimes avoiding vulnerable conversations. They wanted trust while expecting proof before trust could exist. They wanted closeness while protecting themselves from the very vulnerability closeness requires. That realization shook them. The psychic said quietly, the photograph is not telling me that this person is the problem. Your person looked up immediately. What is it telling you? Another silence. And then, that your idea of love is changing. Your person felt those words almost physically. Because they were true. Something inside them had already shifted. They had walked into the room wanting a prediction. They were leaving with a transformation. But the conversation was not over. There was one final thing the psychic noticed in your photograph. And this was the detail that made your person lean forward again. The psychic looked closely at your expression and asked whether you had been through something emotionally difficult before your person entered your life. Your person admitted they did not know everything. Of course they didn't. There were parts of your story you had never shared. There were experiences that shaped you before they knew your name. There were disappointments that taught you to move carefully. There were moments when you learned that words could sound beautiful without being dependable. There were probably times when you gave too much and received too little. Times when you trusted and regretted it. Times when you had to rebuild yourself quietly. Your person had sometimes judged the walls without understanding what had built them. And now that possibility hit them. Maybe your caution was not rejection. Maybe your boundaries were not cruelty. Maybe your independence was not an announcement that you did not need love. Maybe you had simply learned not to abandon yourself in order to keep someone else. The psychic said, "Look again." Your person looked. And something about your face seemed different to them. Not physically. Emotionally. For the first time, they saw strength without interpreting it as distance. They saw mystery without interpreting it as secrecy. They saw caution without immediately interpreting it as rejection. They saw you. Or at least, they began trying to. Stay till the end. Because something huge is waiting for you, and this is where the story becomes almost impossible for your person to ignore. The psychic asked one final question. If this person never became yours in the way you imagined, would you still be grateful you met them? Your person froze. That question removed everything. No guaranteed ending. No promise. No prediction. No certainty. Only truth. Would they still be grateful? Your person looked down. For several seconds, they said nothing. Then memories began moving through their mind. Perhaps they remembered laughing with you. Perhaps they remembered the first moment they realized they cared. Perhaps they remembered something you said that stayed with them. Perhaps they remembered how meeting you forced them to examine parts of themselves they had avoided for years. Perhaps they remembered that before you, they believed they understood love. After you, they realized they were still learning. Their eyes returned to your photograph. And quietly, they answered. Yes. That single word ended the old love. Because love that only exists when it gets what it wants is fragile. Love that can appreciate someone without possessing them becomes something different. Something cleaner. Something calmer. Something more mature. Your person had expected the psychic to tell them whether you would be together. Instead, they were being taught how to stop turning love into a demand. But there was still one unanswered question. The title says the psychic revealed that you are. What? Your person wanted the same answer. They asked directly. If they are a mirror, what exactly are they reflecting? The psychic's expression changed. Your person noticed. This was the first moment when the psychic seemed hesitant to answer. The room became quiet again. Your photograph remained between them. Your person waited. Tell me, they said. The psychic took a slow breath and replied, this person is reflecting the part of you that knows you can no longer love the way you used to. Your person felt stunned. Because suddenly everything connected. You were not being described as a magical guarantee. You were not being presented as a prize. You were not being labeled as someone your person was destined to possess. You were something much more challenging. You were a turning point. Meeting you had forced them to confront the difference between intensity and intimacy. Between wanting and knowing. Between attachment and care. Between fear and intuition. Between chasing certainty and building trust. Between loving someone and using their love as proof of personal worth. That was what you were. A turning point. And once your person understood it, they could not return to the emotional patterns they had before. The psychic warned them gently, if you leave here and continue treating this connection exactly as you did before, you will repeat the same cycle. But if you understand what this person has awakened in you, everything changes. Your person looked at your photograph for a long time. And then something happened that even they did not expect. They smiled. Not the desperate smile of someone who had received confirmation that you belonged to them. A quieter smile. The smile of someone who had finally understood why the connection had affected them so deeply. They no longer needed the psychic to tell them what you were thinking. They needed to decide what kind of person they wanted to become in response to what they were feeling. That distinction changed everything. Don't skip. Because this is not where the revelation ends. When your person prepared to leave, they reached for your photograph. But before their fingers touched it, the psychic said, "Wait." Your person's hand stopped. There was one more thing. One final observation. Something the psychic had deliberately not mentioned earlier because your person was not ready to hear it. Your person slowly sat back down. The psychic looked at your photograph again. Then at your person. And asked, "Do you know why you chose this particular photograph?" Your person frowned. They had never considered the question. It was simply a picture of you. Or so they thought. But the psychic pointed towards something in your expression. Something subtle. Something your person had noticed unconsciously but never understood. There was a quality in that photograph that reminded your person of the exact moment their feelings for you became impossible to dismiss. Maybe it was your expression. Maybe it was the way you looked peaceful without needing anyone's approval. Maybe it was something in your eyes that suggested you had survived experiences without allowing those experiences to define your entire heart. Whatever it was, your person had selected that photograph because it represented the version of you they were most afraid of losing. And there was the final layer. Their fear of losing you had been controlling how they loved you. The psychic said, "You cannot build something beautiful while constantly preparing for its disappearance." Your person felt those words sink into them. How many times had they done exactly that? Imagined losing you before they truly had you. Imagined rejection before speaking honestly. Imagined another person replacing them before understanding what you wanted. Imagined endings before allowing beginnings. Fear had been writing chapters that reality had never written. And your person finally saw it. They looked at your photograph and whispered something so quietly that even the psychic almost missed it. "I was afraid. Not afraid of you. Afraid of what caring about you made possible. Because genuine care opens the door to joy, but it also opens the door to vulnerability." Your person had wanted one without accepting the other. They wanted the happiness of being chosen without the uncertainty of waiting. They wanted closeness without risking rejection. They wanted love without surrendering control. And meeting you had made that impossible. You forced nothing. You may not even have known this battle existed. Yet simply being yourself had brought it to the surface. That is why the psychic's revelation changed everything. Your person walked in believing the biggest mystery was you. They discovered the biggest mystery was themselves. Stay till the end. Because when they finally picked up your photograph, the way they held it had changed. Before, it had been evidence. Now, it was a reminder. A reminder that whatever happened next, they did not want to approach you from fear again. They did not want to measure every interaction. They did not want to manipulate outcomes. They did not want to create imaginary competitions. They did not want to turn silence into accusations or uncertainty into stories. If they ever spoke to you again, they wanted to speak differently. Clearly. Honestly. Without games. Without trying to make you jealous. Without pretending.